this is Ree here. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate everyone. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. It really helps me a lot. Don't forget to check out my website, paradoxastrology.com. Book your consultation today. I can help you with anything. And if you would like more exclusive occult videos that I don't post on YouTube, consider subscribing to my Patreon. It also helps support this channel. Okay, let's get into this video. Now we have an upcoming full moon happening on August 1st in Shravana Nakshatra, which is in Capricorn. And let's talk about it, what it will mean for you and the world. Now, there's two different ways that this is translated in two different unrelated terms. It translates to hearing and the one who limps. And we're going to get into why that is. This is also related to the sacred tree, which Buddha actually meditated under in order to gain enlightenment. So this also has a lot to do with spiritual enlightenment. The 3 steps that were taken, which correspond to Vishnu, were in order to restore and establish order within the universe, with giving the heaven back to the gods and earth back to humans. I'm going to break down the story very roughly. It's kind of long so that this video isn't too long. It has to do with Vishnu and Bali, Mahabali, which was the king. Vishnu, using his 3 steps, was able to defeat Mahabali and send him back to the Loka where he came, into the hell realm. And he was able to take over his property. So that's why there's a lot of themes about property in here and homes, as well as enlightenment, but also slaying of the demon. With the 3 steps of Vishnu, this could indicate things happening in 3s. It's also corresponded to the trident. In numerology, number 3 has to do with communication. 3 is also always responsible for maintaining order in the universe because we have the 3, Vishnu, Shiva, and Brahma, which all correspond to Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. The ear is the symbol of this nakshatra. So that's why it gives rise to a lot of musicians, a lot of people who use their ears for their job. This could be also people who spend a lot of time on the phone, or phone companies, or phone operators, or people who actually do consultations via phone, things like that. This is where my son is, which is actually at Makaraka, and I still am, but I was an artist signed to Sony. I'm no longer affiliated with any companies or anything to do with the music industry. I'll still always be an artist, but that's just an example. And I know a lot of people in the music industry who have this as well, who actually have hit very huge heights in their career because that is their purpose. So under this influence, it's telling us it's very important to keep our ears open and listen to others. Saturn will be in the 2nd house from the moon, telling us to listen to our family members in order to avoid conflict, because opposing this is Mars. So this could show us that there could be some conflicts within families. It's always best to listen and contemplate so that you can actually come to a solution instead of acting out of ego or reacting. Saturn is also in retrograde aspecting Aries in the 4th house from the moon. So it's also telling us to listen to our inner guidance. There could be themes around money, possessions, and this may come up for some as well. And for some, the home could suddenly expand. That could be the physical home or the family, as in having more members in the family or giving birth. Some could also be purchasing new technology for the home as well. So with the relationship with Saraswati in this nakshatra, it's a lot to do with studying languages, music, and the fascination with all types of media, and with education. Being that this nakshatra is a full moon, and this nakshatra is about completion. So a lot of you will reach things to completion at this time. Now, it's very important to avoid gossip, talking behind people's backs, and manipulation during this time, because you're guaranteed to get enemies from this, but especially with family members, because the Saturn-Mars aspect, and Mars is also with Mercury, could make some people have some very harsh words with each other that could actually end a relationship, or at the most come to violence. So listen and educate yourself on the problem before reacting. So a lot of relationships are going to be transformed right now because Venus is in retrograde, and it's in retrograde in the 8th house. So things need to be talked out. We are figuring out our worth at this time and what we truly value. So when it goes forward again, we can move forward and move on. And with it being in Leo at the moment, and retrograding to Cancer, then going back to Leo, some may find that going out on their own will be the best for them. So remember, during this time, when it goes into Ashleisha, and that will be around August 6th, that is the time where we have to slay the demons. And once you slay the demons, then you can end up in Magha, which is gaining the throne again. So it's about the internal demons that we need to slay in order for us to move on and gain. So avoid starting a new relationship at this time unless you've consulted an astrologer and you know that this could be correct, because it's more of a time of introspection. Be careful of old relationships that could come up and come back into your life, because this happens a lot with retrograde. It's usually for you to solve the problem and to heal the old wounds, and so that you can move on once the retrograde has ended. Now, people are very vulnerable at this time, especially mentally, so be careful of past, maybe if you had abusive relationships or you have a pattern of that, just be careful that you don't get into another one due to loneliness or just feeling down. It's not the time, and you'll feel better once this stops the retrograde on September 3rd, because on September 3rd you'll probably realize you made a mistake. K2 will be in the 10th house, and it's a time to more go inwards than to be seen. So a lot of people are doing a lot of internal work, and that's good. And it may be a little bit painful at first, but it's here to heal you. It can also mean that a lot of members of government will be let go. The government is changing, being let go of their current positions. This nakshatra requires a toning down of ego. Listening without any preconceived notions is the best way to deal with this. It's the only way to learn. So be very careful of the company you keep. There's some foolishness, almost being naive, that comes with this nakshatra. You can easily fall prey to bad advice because of being naive. I know this very well. So just be careful at this time, especially with K2 being in the 10th house. Now, we have to be careful of scams, romance scams, crypto scam, any kind of deception. Just be very careful of it. It's probably not the time to make these huge investments. And this is not financial advice or anything. So be careful of deceptions. So like I said, this nakshatra can be used for higher learning, higher meditative and enlightenment, just like Buddha. But on the negative aspect, it's connected to all forms of media. In Kali Yuga, media is being used to spread lies and deception. And especially with K2 in that 10th house, there's going to be a lot more push in the media of more deception than usual. So we have to be very cautious of what we believe. Remember, they run off fear, and that's how they get clicks. So everything is exaggerated. So never let anyone put you in fear. With Saturn retrograde and Shavahista, which is the stars, a lot of this deception is going to be coming from the government pushing this agenda of aliens. Now, I'm not saying that there isn't other types of beings, but I'm saying use your common sense and think, if a being is interdimensional, why would it have a saucer? Why would it have to travel from up to down below? If your chakras or energy centers, which represent the planets, which aren't physical, but are still there, what would make the planets be physical? Why would a being be traveling in an aircraft that looks like it's from the 60s? Does that make sense? Just really think about it. With K2 in the 10th house, it is good for those who are dealing in spiritual matters, because more people will be going towards wanting healing. So if you're in these kind of professions, it will be the perfect time to help others. But you have to help others without any expression of bigotry or narrow-mindedness or unethical stances, because you will definitely create a lot of enemies for yourself during this time. Now, avoid being excessively generous. Okay, it's good to be generous, 100%, but this one ends up being excessively generous to the point that it can lose everything, that it can give everything up and then leave itself in poverty. without thinking about itself. I know this so well from this actually, and a lot of people who have these placements end up in these positions where their money is actually being controlled. That's why I was warning you about the romance scams, right? Because we hear about a lot of people that end up just keep sending money to people they don't know, and then they have nothing left. So just be careful of those types of things, and crypto scams, and during this time, always, but mostly during this time. Also, with having Saturn in the second house, that could show some limitations on money as well, and could be showing that some people could lose some money. So listen to your inner voice rather than the media. Listen to your intuition, will tell you what you need to do rather than other people. Like myself, I'm only here to help you guide, but you always make your own decisions. Don't go by what I say. Go by what you think is right. With this Pada, it has a lot to do with the entertainment industry, especially the music business. It can be very beneficial to anyone doing spiritual music or religious music. That could be very beneficial to you. But on the other side, there's going to be a lot of losses in the entertainment industry, in the music business. We see that already happening with a lot of artists having to cancel their tours because of lack of ticket sales. A lot of artists are losing fan bases. That's just a part of it right now. There's going to be a lot of changes to the music industry. This could be budget cuts or the way things have been run. A lot of this energy will be revolving around certain professions. This could be teachers, preachers, educators, scholars, students, universities, storytellers, comedians. So like I said, anyone involved in the music industry, recording industry, anything that uses ears, telephone industry, gossip columnists, well, it's not a good time to gossip. So if you are a gossip columnist, I don't know, maybe tone it down a little bit. News broadcasters, talk shows, radio, TV business, psychologists, psychiatrists, radio signals from space, travel agents, transportation industry, hotel, restaurant industry, healers, practitioners, anyone who heals people on a higher level, your business will probably go up, hospitals, medical profession, and charities and societies. It's good for religious rituals, performances, spiritual performances, new ventures, entering a new house, getting new property, which I see for a lot of people, listening to advice. It's a good time if you feel like you need advice to seek somebody, reading, writing, music, making peace with others. So it's not a time for arguing, like make peace with them, and favorable for travel. There'll be a lot of people traveling during this time. Now, it's represented by the tarot card, the Fool. And the Fool is ready to jump into something without knowing anything about it, and no concern for the situation or the past or the future. And that's why the Fool can either be someone who's completely enlightened, who's just living in the present, and because of that, they understand non-duality and that there is no past or future or present. They just live as they are, and they are in complete control. Or there could be the Fool that isn't thinking about the past or the present and the future, but isn't connected to their higher self, so is inevitably going to create some problems for themselves. So that's why you have to choose to be the one who's more enlightened than the Fool. So don't jump into anything that you know nothing about during this time or ever. Now, the Sun will be in Ashleisha. This is the beginning of a lot of issues that could be revolving around health in the world, and I don't quite know what that will be. This could be maybe the flu season. This could be other things that may pop up, but there's a lot of deception. So whatever pops up, there's no reason to be in fear. There is a lot of deception. That's all I'm going to say on YouTube. But leaders in authority positions who are insecure will be acting out of ego, clinging on to things that may not be good for the population or best for society, using deception. Those who want to dominate others. This is good for healers who want to help people with these issues of insecurity, because it's a time to listen to people who have insecurities to help them let go of what isn't good for them without judgment. Just like it's good for us to let go of our insecurities during this time and our past issues. This could have to do with relationships, business partnerships, but Venus being in the 8th house is showing us that business partnerships and relationships are being transformed, but some are dying out. And unhealthy attachments to shared resources and careers that may no longer suit us are also dying out. This could bring up health matters just because Ashleisha has to do with doctors, and it also has to do with the caduceus, which is the symbol for the medical association. Also, this is in the first pada, which has to do a lot with hard work, but also sixth house affairs like diseases, enemies, employment, things of that nature. Also, there could be a lot of lawsuits being filed due to deception, due to scams, due to health issues, our previous health issues that are coming to light. That's all I'm going to say on YouTube about that. So that's just a little bit of what I see of what will be occurring during this full moon. I really appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one.